Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 51. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. How are you? You have your. I understand you have your sister over, and you guys have been playing Bayonetta together. How's that going?
Going pretty well. We're actually still in chapter one, um, because we are slow. What's funny is it's a fast-paced action game, but Bayonetta's strut is so funny that we basically just walk everywhere just to watch her butt wiggle back and forth and just sit there and laugh at her the entire time. Um, Although when you equip the swords with her, she has a really awkward wobbly gait because she holds her swords out to the side and she has this weird wobble when she runs. The animation is kind of odd on it, and we also thoroughly explore every single area looking for goodies and destroying all the furniture and trash cans and park benches to get the coins, halos, the currency for the game. Um, Trying to find the little ravens that you collect for goodies. So we've been playing the game for about 2 hours this afternoon, and we're still in chapter one because we're slow as hell. I'm actually doing pretty well as far as uh, when the bad guys show up. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if the game is easier or if because I played the first game, I'm just better at playing Bayonetta.
Possibly. Yeah.
It might be that because but Bayonetta, some of the enemies do get damn hard in that
Mhm.
game, and I'm still in chapter one, so probably just have not come across any of the more difficult enemies yet. But the game is so absurd and bombastic. I mean, the game opens with Bayonetta shopping, buying Christmas presents or something, and then fighter jets come flying in with monsters on them, and she kicks the damn fighter jet out of her way and jumps
Okay.
on it, and then the fighter jet explodes, and she jumps off it onto a train, and then some other angels chasing her along the train, and then the bridge explodes, and she hops along the debris and just stands on the side of a wall, and my sister and I are like, "Up yours, physics!"
Of
And
course.
then she summons a demon monster to eat an angel, and then the demon monster, for some reason, turns against her. So she starts King Konging it up the building with this giant demon monster that's trying to bite her, and she keeps smacking it in the face. And then they go plummeting off the building, and she calls another demon to eat the first demon. I'm like, well, I hope the second demon doesn't go rogue on you. And then your buddy Jean gets her soul knocked right out of her, and she gets dragged down to hell. So the plot of the game, at least in chapter one, seems to be we're gonna have to go down into hell and get our friend's soul back before she's dead for good. Because like in the Princess Bride, she's not quite all dead; she's mostly dead. So there's still a chance.
Okay. Just
Um,
hit a little chocolate-coated miracle, and
yeah, no spoilers.
and
Well, I can't
everything
give
will be good.
spoilers because I can't tell you anything past chapter one.
Yeah,
So
I think the first chapter or hour of a game typically is a free game for discussion of plot points and stuff because it's mostly the stuff you'll learn in trailers or
yeah.
reviews. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah.
Matthew says she's a witch. Physics don't count. That's true. Physics do not apply in the world of Bayonetta. She do not care. I will stand on this wall. Means
Yeah.
nothing to me.
Uh,
My sister says that I want to watch the motion capture. I need to know whose ass that is.
it's probably not motion capture though.
It
It's
probably there's almost certainly a reference somewhere. They probably used a
probably
reference model at some point just for some movement, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the game where you could get much out of a motion capture because not very many people in the world could actually move like that.
Well, true, but yeah, some of the idle animations and dance moves, and because a lot of her moves are kind of based on dance. I mean, she does like break dancing, and she has some stuff that I've seen people actually do, and especially her butt swinging gait. I wonder if that's just all keyframe animation, or if
I
they
don't know.
had a reference, or
They could have had a reference for that. Yeah,
you know,
that's doesn't seem that that out of the ordinary to reference at least walk and run animations.
Yeah.
But
But no, we're having a great time playing through this game slowly. We'd probably it'd be like, hey, stream on Twitch. No, you'd be so bored. You'd be like, oh my God, we've been watching this guy for 2.5 hours and he's still in chapter 1. How is that possible?
yeah.
So, we are somehow we are leisurely. We are playing Bayonetta 2, a hardcore action game, very casually. It's like how do you do that? It's like
That's how I play
we
everything.
we play Dark Souls very casually.
Yeah.
So
You just play Shadow of the Colossus, and you just saunter to the top of the
I don't even get on
the
the horse.
giants.
I don't need my horse. I'm gonna walk to the next Colossus. Let's stream that on Twitch. People will be like, "Oh my God, he's gonna walk the entire way there. Why? Why are you doing that?"
I'm trying to detach myself from the horse. I don't want, I don't want to
I
get
don't want
too
to become
attached.
dependent on the horse. I get my legs will atrophy. I need to build up the quads for better climbing. Um, so
Oh man.
earlier, so I finished Red Steel 2. I talked
Okay.
about I'd been playing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
last week.
You mentioned that on Twitter, and you had something interesting to say about the final boss.
Yeah, the final boss is. I've been thinking about it all week, but I can't think of another final boss that is lamer or a bigger pushover than the final boss of Red Steel 2. Because I kid you not, I beat him first try, no damage, under a minute.
Nice.
And the game doesn't end so much as it just stops at that point.
Yeah.
You beat the guy and he stabs him and he's like, credits roll. It's like, uh, what about the other NPCs? Is Tamako okay? Did she die? I guess we
So
don't
there was
care. Credits
no
roll.
final story cutscene. It was just the credits, and
There is a story cutscene. You beat the guy, and the cutscene is he's like, other people will come for your sword, and he goes, you want my sword? You can have it. And he runs him through, and then breaks the sword in half, and chucks the handle away, and walks off into the sunset. I'm like, well, what about the old
okay.
sheriff guy? What about Tamako, who took a bullet for you? Did she die? Is she alive? Is she okay? What about the two other people in the? There's only like four other people in the game. I guess we
I
don't
guess.
care,
Yeah,
but
we don't care about
it's
them.
so weird. But the penultimate boss is really cool. It's a boss who has this regenerating armor. You constantly have to knock his armor off so that you can stab him in the squishy bits.
Yeah.
But he constantly regenerates his armor. And he's got a lot of area of effect attacks. So, he'll do like ground slams that you have to back up off of. Otherwise, you'll be knocked on your face. Um, he sends these like floating mines at you that you have to sidestep. So you have to knock off his armor and block his. It's a motion control thing, so you have to block horizontally or vertically depending on how he's swinging, and then scoot around behind him and do slashes. It's a really cool boss fight. Then you get to the final boss fight, and he has one move. He just swings his sword in really predictable, really easily read patterns. It's like vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, and then he's stunned, and you're like smack, 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 smack. Most enemies in the game, when you stun them, you can get in like 2 smacks. This guy, you get in a solid 4. 3 cycles of that, and he was dead.
Wow.
I'm like, what happened?
Did they just
here,
run
guys?
out of ideas?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
I don't know if the idea was that this guy who's been taunting you the entire game is just a pushover. It's like
Yeah.
this guy couldn't walk the walk.
Yeah. So when you sent that tweet, I was trying to think of games that had final bosses, games that I've played and that had final bosses that were that easy. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I can't think of them. It's like the easiest boss fight I can remember is Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, where but this one's like a 4-stage boss, and you've got to beat like one stage he's a slime and you have to hit him with the magic powder. Another stage he's one of those worms that you have to just attack his tail until he's dead, and then he does the classic Ganon thing where he shoots the glowing orb at you and you have to swing it back at him.
Yeah.
And then the last stage is this big thing with like spiky arms with balls on the end, and they swing around and try to hit you, and he's got a big eye in the middle, and and the object is to shoot him with arrows in the eye until he's dead. But if you have the boomerang, which is a an optional item, you don't have to get it, and it's really easy to miss if you're not looking for it. But if you have the boomerang, you hit him once with the boomerang and he's dead. But that's not really
That's true. There are
that's
some bosses that
yeah,
have a weakness or an exploit. For instance,
yeah,
if you got the Oni Link mask and Majora's mask and you fight Majora at the end, that is a complete cakewalk. Um, but otherwise, it's a challenging fight. So, but this one, I don't know if I just happened to luck into the boss doing the same easy pattern 3 times in a row. But even then, he was just easier uh, than basic grunts in the game, which
yeah.
is weird. I just thought GLaDOS in Portal is pretty easy. You just pick up 3 things and then drop them down a garbage chute, and that's it. I think there's a time limit, but I don't recall. Then again, that's a puzzle game, so
Yeah, that's a
um,
puzzle game. It's not an
and
action.
yeah. Also, it's a game that's only 2 hours long, which I didn't know going into the game. So I played the game, and you just 2 hours later, I'm at GLaDOS. I'm like, oh, that's it. Oh, short game. Okay. I mean, I knew it was a short game, but I was thinking
You're
like
just good at
4 hours.
solving puzzles, I guess.
Maybe I'm just really good at that one, but I
Yeah,
was expecting like a 4 hour game. I didn't realize it was that short. I knew it was a shorter game, but
yeah.
goodness. A Nightmare asking, what do I think of her being in Smash? You mean Bayonetta? I love the fact that Bayonetta's in Smash. In fact, that was one of my predictions in a video at some point.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't a prediction. Maybe it was I think someone, Kevin Alexson, another YouTuber, asked me to do a video for a
Yeah, it
compilation
was
of. He's like,
characters you
you would
want
like
to
to see
see
in
in
Smash Brothers, and
Smash.
I picked Bayonetta, and she ended up in Smash Brothers. So
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Yeah, I think with Bayonetta going Nintendo exclusive, yeah, it was a great move.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only poor choice I've ever seen in a Smash game is Cloud, and I will yell that to the wind as for the rest of my days, because Cloud has no business being in a Nintendo compilation game.
Well, if we get the Final Fantasy VII remake, or if Switch gets a port of the Final Fantasy VII
Sometime in
in
2019 or
2024 or
2020, when
whatever, when
we
that
get
game comes out.
that remake, maybe Nintendo's next console will get it. But yeah, it's
So yeah, I don't know. I didn't mind them. Then again, I'm rarely ever bothered by uh, characters, and especially when the roster is so darn large. It's like I don't like
yeah,
that character. It's like, all right, play one of the 49 other characters. It's pretty cool. But
yeah.
so after I beat Red Steel 2, I think last weekend, I decided, well, I know we're going to play Bayonetta 2 when my sister gets here, but what should I play in the meantime? So I pulled a Turok Evolution off my shelf, which has been sitting there for over 10 years. I bought it for $7 at a Circuit City that was closing back in the day.
Oh man,
Um,
Circuit City.
yeah. So I unwrapped it and put it in my GameCube, or well, Kelly has the GameCube to play Animal Crossing, so I put it in my Wii, and I don't know, about an hour and a half later, I took it out and put it back on the shelf because it's terrible. Turok three,
Yeah,
Turok
I've
three
heard
is
the
not very good. Turok 1 and 2, I love.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
those games. My mom and I played those to death. We love those games. Turok 3, I played, I think, when I was in college or something like that, and I like. This one just sucks. It's not very good. They made a lot of poor choices. Not unplayable,
Mhm.
just not very fun. They made a lot of poor design decisions. This game is
Yeah.
like borderline broken. It's unbelievably terrible. Um, Almost so bad. I mean, almost not quite Road to Redemption terrible to the point where it's actually funny. It's so terrible. This one's just bad. Very few games I hang up after an hour and a half or 2 hours, but
Yeah.
this one I just put back on the shelf. I made it like halfway through chapter 2, and I was no, nope, no. I will not sully the good memory of Turok with this crappy game. So,
Yeah.
um, We're wondering about uh, sales totals for Bayonetta in the chat. Yeah, I have no idea, but hopefully we get
Yeah,
a
I
Bayonetta
haven't.
3 at some point because
That
I
would be
like
nice.
Bayonetta. And I think Platinum was talking. There was an interview with Platinum earlier this week talking about, so, got any ideas for Bayonetta? And they said, yeah, we're actually talking about more Bayonetta. There's nothing concrete, and it's hard to actually. And they said something along the lines of, if we weren't talking about it, we could just throw stuff out there. But the fact that we are talking about it, just brainstorming ideas for what we would do if we had the opportunity, which we currently don't. This is an interesting. It's nice to know there's at least enthusiasm at Platinum for more Bayonetta if the
Yeah,
opportunity arises. So that makes me
that's
happy.
cool.
So okay, let
Okay.
us move to our first topic, which is
All
the
right.
most important thing we could possibly talk about, which is Nintendo. Um, Nintendo
Of
did
course.
something annoying this
What
week.
else is there to talk about?
That's right. Um, Nintendo did something annoying this week and it gave some more details about its online service, which meant that I had to go to the rough draft of my E3 predictions list and pull more stuff off of it. Like, well, damn it. I think this is like the fourth thing I've had to remove from the list because stuff just keeps getting happen. Stuff just keeps getting announced. Luckily, there's only another week to go before E3, so
Yeah.
Nintendo, the online service is still free for now until they introduce their paid service, which was going to be this coming fall, but now it's sometime in 2018, so it's been pushed back a bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which means they haven't got it anywhere near ready to go.
which means that they probably are still trying to figure out online, even though this has been a thing for over a decade. It's like, if only we're pioneering this online stuff. If only there were some examples that some examples we could look at to get inspiration, see how it's done right. It's like, oh my god, have you ever heard of Sony or Microsoft? They've been doing it for a decade. They do it well. Just copy them, for crying out loud. Do what they do with a Nintendo spin and call it a day. Anyway, so they're still talking about doing friends list management, play appointments, and game chat on smart devices
Yeah.
instead of actually in game. And I still have to wonder if that is the Switch not powerful enough to run a game and manage online lobbies and chat and things like that? Is there just not enough horsepower to do two things at once? Is that why we're shunting it off onto our cell phones? That's weird to
That
me. That
possibility. Yeah.
I guess it's a possibility, but that seems that's really weird if true. Or does Nintendo think that making it more complicated is somehow easier? I I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just it's like all these problems that Nintendo have been solved and have been solved long ago. But then again, hey, maybe using your cell phone to manage all your online stuff will be like the bestest thing ever. It's like, why has no
Yeah.
one done this before? This is incredible. Maybe. So there's going to be a limited version of this app available sometime in the summer. This summer.
Yeah.
Uh, don't know what that means because it doesn't seem to be doing a whole hell of a lot in the first place, other than voice chat. And
Yeah. I don't know what it's supposed to do. If it's a limited version.
yeah, I don't know what a limited version of something that doesn't do a whole hell of a lot in the first place is. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, I think probably one of the most interesting things is the fact that last time we heard, Nintendo was doing something insane with PlayStation Plus and Games for Gold have free games every month. You have a selection of games that, if you are a subscriber to those services, which I think costs like 50, $60 a year, depending on the service,
Yeah.
you get a couple free games. And they're mostly fairly modern games. A lot of times
Yeah. You
a
get
lot
a
of times
couple of
there'll be
classics and then
recent indies. There'll be some
yeah.
classics, but recent popular indies, and even some fairly recent big games. Like Yakuza 4 was on the PlayStation Plus a couple of years ago, and it was only like a year old at the time. Oftentimes, you'll have
Yeah.
fairly modern games on there for free that you can download and you get to keep forever and play so long as you're
Well, as long as you're a
as long
paying
as you're a
subscriber.
paying
Yeah.
subscriber to the service, which is fine. So Nintendo's version of this is you get one NES game, and at the end of the month, you have to give it back before you get the
Yeah.
next game. So if, their first game is Super Mario Brothers, you get to play Super Mario Brothers, but in month 2, when Legend of Zelda is the game, you don't get to play Super Mario Brothers anymore. You just get Zelda. Even if you're still a member, you don't get the previous game. You have to give it back. And it's like, this better be a cheap service, Nintendo, because that is crap. But
Yeah.
it seems to have changed a bit. Now it's called the Classic Game Selection. And here's how it's described. It says subscribers will get to download a compilation of classic titles with added online play, such as Super Mario Bros. 3, Balloon Fight, and Dr. Mario. Now, what that implies and what Nintendo lightly confirmed to Kotaku
Yeah.
was kind of the same thing. There's a selection of games. You can play them as long as you want, whenever you want, long as you're still a subscriber. And it sounds like they'll just add to that as time goes on.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds more like a Netflix style thing,
Kind
I
of, yeah.
guess. Yeah, and
So a
which,
constantly expanding library of NES, and Nintendo says possibly maybe Super NES games.
yeah, it's yeah, you would think the Super Nintendo games would be a given because those are the ones everybody wants. The NES games are okay, like some of them are really good, like Super Mario Brothers,
Mm.
Dr. Mario, but there's only
Yeah.
so much balloon fight you can take.
As
Yeah,
part of a compilation of games that you get for free, hey, cool. You might want to check out
yeah,
Balloon Fight, see what it is. Um, if that was just the free game for the month, it'd be like, But even so, this still, as a service, pales in comparison to what its competition does. However, Nintendo did reveal the pricing for the online services, which again doesn't start until sometime in 2018.
yeah,
And a 12-month membership is $20. You can buy
yeah.
1 month for $4, 3 months for $8, or a year membership for $20.
Yeah, which that's quite the discount because if you're buying $4 a month at a time, a month at a
Yeah.
time, you're
Mhm.
looking at $48,
Yeah.
and then 32 if you're going for the 3 month at a time. So it's yeah, so buy the year one for $20. That's a heck of a discount.
Of
Uh,
course, this comes with the caveat that is it going to, probably bare bones, but I think as long as the service works, like it's just a
yeah,
decent online service, bare bones, but it works consistently, I think they'll be fine with kind of a
yeah.
lame game selection thing. And
Well, I think if they can get a decent game selection in,
mhm,
at least 10 good NES games, maybe like a handful or so of good Super NES games. If they could get those in, $20 a year just to play those games would
yeah.
probably be worth it on its
And
own.
again, they are apparently altering the game slightly to include online play, so you can
Yeah,
play
yeah,
Dr. Mario online with other people. Now, contrast this with Virtual Console, which Nintendo hasn't really talked about. My guess is that they will still sell the same titles on the Virtual Console, but they won't be the online enabled version. They'll just be the
probably
original
not.
versions of
Yeah,
the game. And with the Virtual Console, you will probably see later generation games, N64 games, maybe GameCube games. But it looks like we'll be lucky to see SNES games on the free game selection or
yeah.
classic game selection, whatever it's called, classic game selection. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Born Distracted says I won't expect too much from the Nintendo service, and I don't blame you. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend expecting much. Set your expectations really low. In fact, one of the things I have on my Nintendo prediction list that I don't know if I'll add into the video or not is Nintendo's online service will contain at least three elements that make you go, what? Why? At least three things that make you go, what? Why? So, and
Well,
then
the whole
this
cell
comes
phone
out. I'm like,
thing
well,
is,
that's like two. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting to see if Nintendo ever catches up with the Sony or
in this
Microsoft.
area,
Because
yeah. Did Nintendo say that Virtual Console is still coming? They didn't really specifically confirmed it. They just mentioned that the classic game selection and Virtual Console are two different things. So that
yeah,
kind of softly announces that there will be a Virtual Console of some sort at some time. But it's not actually a yes, there will be a Switch Virtual Console, but yes, there will be a Switch Virtual Console. So,
yeah,
but so moving topics, but staying kind of on the same wavelength is Nintendo. Well, Hori, a device and peripheral manufacturer, announced a gaming headset for a Splatoon, and this was posted on the Japanese Twitter account. Um, and it's very Nintendo. And this might give us a peek into what Nintendo's going for with well, let me find the screen share option here. What Nintendo's going for with these online stuffs. So here is the you can see the headphones in the upper left. They plug into a dongle that then splits off into your cell phone and then another one into the Switch. So your headset, your chat headset, has to plug into a device that plugs in to both your cell phone and the Switch. And that seems way that's one of those what? Why
yeah.
things for me. It's like, why is it that complicated? I we've been doing wireless headsets for years. Why do I have to plug into two different things? Why
Well,
do I
I
have to
guess
have wires going everywhere?
maybe it has to. You know, there's a communication that it has to do. One with the online app for your phone, and then the other one that has to do some kind of communication or syncing with the system as well.
That would seem to be a very good reason not to shunt all the online crap off onto your phone.
Yeah, yeah,
If you have
exactly.
to have
It's like,
if you have to have a wire leading to a box that splits out the wires so you can plug into two different devices.
yeah,
Oh,
that is a yeah, it is a very awkward setup, and if it has to plug into the Switch at the same time as your phone, if it has to be plugged in, what does this mean for TV play? If the Switch is
unless these
docked,
wires are really long, it means you're probably
yeah,
going
you're
to
gonna
have to
have to
play
have
in
a
portable
10 or
mode if you
12.
wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have a 10 or 12 foot audio cable to connect, and
Either that
that's
or don't
just
get too excited or you'll
incredibly
accidentally
awkward.
pull your damn Switch off the shelf. You
Yeah,
stand up, you're like,
exactly.
yay! And you yank the whole thing off the wall, pulls your television off the stand with it. You're like, oh no! Damn
Yeah,
you, Hori!
but it's like Xbox and PlayStation, they both have figured out the wireless headsets, or at least have I think maybe Microsoft you could plug into the controller or something. I
Uh-huh.
forget. But yeah, it's like they figured this out. Why hasn't Nintendo? Why do we have to have a 12-foot cable connecting our head to our
Oh,
game system
it's
these days?
probably going to be like a
Uh,
2 foot cable, like the NES
Oh yeah,
Classic Edition.
probably. Yeah, it'll come with a 2-foot audio cable, and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's like I can't even comfortably plug this device into my headset and my phone, with just a 2-foot cable. It's
Again,
ridiculous.
I'll wait and see what this whole online smart app ends up being. Maybe it's self-explanatory. Maybe once you see it, you'll go, Oh, okay. That's why you want to do it that way. This makes total sense. But for now, I'm just like, what? Why? So Microsoft lets you plug into the controller. Yeah. Nightmare Ninja says I never use voice chat, so this doesn't matter to me. Yeah, neither do I, but I still find it just confounding.
Yeah, well, my
Um,
son he bought himself with some Christmas money. He bought himself a like a Bluetooth headset piece for the PlayStation 3, so that he could talk to his friends while he played Minecraft. And yeah, that's Bluetooth. It's over the Bluetooth signal to the PlayStation, and and then I have one for the Xbox that's also wireless, but it has the charging cable too. But yeah, I don't ever use that one because I don't play anything online. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I 13U Cube says to get friends, you connect on a cup with a string to the back of the Switch, and then the other end plugs into bamboo rod that goes under your fingernails. Now with the Switch, it's easy to play with friends. Yeah, it's like what? Why? Well, it works. I know it works, but why do you want to do it that way? Um,
Yeah.
I love Nintendo, so I try so hard to give it the benefit of the doubt. But damn it, guys, you're making it really hard. Oh man, so I think it's going to be an interesting E3, and I keep
Yeah.
having to rewrite my predictions list because crap keeps getting it. I had to pull Monster Hunter off the list. I had Mario and Rabbids thing I took off the list. I had some stuff regarding the voice chat I pulled off the list. What else have I pulled off the list? There was something else. I don't remember what it was, but I may just have nothing. It's like predictions. They all came true already. You'll just have to take my word for it. I called this stuff before it even happened. You just
Yeah.
believe me.
So now you just got to figure out how to make money as an analyst, and you could be, you could be quoted on hundreds of game websites.
Well, I did make like $13 last month on YouTube revenue, so I'm doing pretty well. Although my rent's going up $100 in August, so I'm gonna have to do better than that, or I'm gonna have to move. And I really don't want to. I like it here, but so anyway, 13 UQ says if I have to enter another damn friend code, I'm going to change my name to a friend code. It's like, yeah, hi, I'm 1356825656125. It's like, it's just easier for me to remember it.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, some people be very complimentary towards Nintendo for the way it's set up its lobby system for split arms for the
Yeah.
global test bunch. A lot of people have said that I really like what they're doing with the lobby system. And I haven't looked to see what they're doing with the lobby system. I remember there's like some circles and little circles that move around. I've seen a picture of it, but
Hmm.
uh, oh, Matthew says Rabbids was not a valid prediction because it was leaked months ago. No, the prediction was not that Mario plus Rabbids exists. It was a thing about the and maybe the leaks are wrong, but the leaks kind of imply a thing that I predicted, and that is that the Rabbids. We knew that the Rabbids dressed up as the Rabbids on your team dressed up as Mario and Luigi and Peach and Yoshi. So I figured that the enemies you'd fight would be Rabbids cosplaying as Mario enemies like Goombas and Koopas and Shy Guys and stuff. On the box art for the game, you see a big Rabbid wearing DK's tie. So that kind of leads me to believe that if it makes me feel weird making that prediction now that we've seen that image because it seems like that's something that's going to be a thing in this game. I mean, it's not confirmed, but it seems to lead a lot of enough credence to make it more of an educated guess than a prediction. So
Yeah.
that's why I pulled it off. So anyway, and Nightmare Ninja says that Arms is good, never had problems with it. So okay, so let's talk about less important things that are not Nintendo. And that is Steam. If we all remember, a couple days ago, months ago, years ago, I don't remember when this was. Like my sister, I have no concept of time. My sister and I were on a walk last night, and she's like, "Yeah, remember last time I was here and we were talking about this?" I'm like, "I'm pretty sure that was like 8 months ago." Like every interaction my sister and I have ever had was like the last time she was here because neither of us have any concept of time. But some while back, I'm sorry, Valve was talking about Steam Direct. Basically, if you want to publish your game on Steam, you have to pay a flat fee. There may be a
Yeah.
way to
Recoup.
recoup that fee through the game selling at a certain threshold or something like that. But Valve had said we're thinking about somewhere between $500 and $5,000. Not so much that smaller development studios couldn't possibly afford it, but not so little that it wouldn't be enough of a barrier to keep the more unscrupulous asset flippers off of the service. So Nintendo, man, Valve
Valve.
released a statement, a blog post the other day, earlier in the week, talking about many things, including the Steam Direct, saying that they've settled on the low end of $100. And they haven't gone into a ton of detail about this. Like
Yeah, yeah, they're gonna
still kind of
do a
wishy-washy about how that might be recouped. Um,
yeah. They said that they're gonna have more details in the next blog post. So whenever that comes out.
yeah, but they also said something which I think is a good idea, depending on how it's implemented, is that in addition to improving our algorithms so that stuff is, so that even if trash does get onto Steam, you never see it, we're also going to apply the human element into this so that we'll actually have people manually looking at this stuff. And that's a great idea and something that I think probably everyone has been saying. Doesn't anyone actually take a look at this at all, ever?
Yeah.
But it really depends on how seriously they take that. I mean, if it's one person who is hired for 5 hours per week to look at new submissions or something, it's not going to do anything. It really,
Yeah.
how successful that is, I think, is going to depend in a large part on how seriously they take that and how what type of resources they devote to that. Because it's pretty clear. There's a lot of crap on Steam that is clearly crap, clearly recognizably, maybe not by a computer algorithm, but by a person that's just garbage and doesn't belong on the system or on
Yeah.
the service in the first place. And
Yeah.
just some basic human vetting.
Yeah.
YouTube
Like the digital
might employ
homicide.
that for their copyright system.
Yeah. Well, it's but and granted, Steam had some of these issues even before Greenlight came out,
Yeah,
and so there were crap games on there before Greenlight, and Greenlight hasn't slowed the tide of crap games getting on Steam. So yeah,
might actually have exacerbated it.
it might have made it worse, and with Greenlight, it wasn't. The understanding was that if a game becomes popular enough on Greenlight that it catches Valve's attention,
Mhm.
then Valve will do it. But that whole process of getting greenlit was still very obfuscated. Like nobody knew how it worked
Yeah,
because you would have games that had like a 97% positive rating on Greenlight with like 10,000 upvotes not get on there, but a game that had 1,000 upvotes with an 87% positive rating get greenlit in a week, while the other game has been sitting there for a month and a half. It's like what? This doesn't make any sense. Why? How does this work? How do we get Valve's attention with our games? And some games took months to get greenlit. Other games took days, and so yeah. So this is going to completely simplify the process. Matthew says that Greenlight was $100 for all games. So just your Greenlight account, and you paid $100, and that was for, you could submit as many games as you want. I hadn't followed that very well at all, because I don't have any games ready to go onto Steam, so I didn't bother following up on it. But this new one is $100 per game, so you have to have $100 cash to be able to pay Valve and get your game to just directly on Steam, as it says. And so yeah, that's a little bit of a hurdle. If you're an indie developer and you can't pull $100 out of your pocket, or raise $100 on GoFundMe or something to get your game on Steam, then maybe you need to figure out how to come up with that money, because your game's probably not that good. But yeah, it's to me, I think it's probably a good fee. It's probably the most that they were going to be able to do without major pushback, because both Apple and Google, I believe their fees are $100. I can't remember if they were $100 per game or just $100 per year or what. I can't remember exactly. But $100 seems to be that spot that everybody is going for, and I don't think Valve really wants to rock the boat here. And to me, I think that's good. I could see myself making a game and saying, okay, I can do $100, or running a Kickstarter and saying, hey, this is $100 to make the, or X amount to make the game, and then and if it reaches that, yeah, $100 out of this chunk that I need to make the game is going to go towards paying the Steam fee, and that's going to to me, I think that's going to alleviate a lot of concerns for Kickstarter, because prior to this, the games had to go through the greenlight process, and if you're and to be honest, if your game was successfully kickstarted, Valve was probably going to pick it up eventually, anyways, if you
Yeah.
approached them for it. So yeah, I think this, but again, I think this is going to alleviate a lot of developer and backer concerns for Kickstarter games that promise a Steam key. So
Yeah. Matthew points out that Steam is global, so countries with very low wages would have difficulty affording anything much higher than $100, and some might even
that's
have
true.
trouble affording $100. But I get the sense with Valve talking about adding a human element that they might be willing to work with uh, indie developer and indie companies that are in a situation where they flat out just can't afford $100. I don't know that for certain, but I'm encouraged by the fact that they seem to be shying away from drawing a hard line on anything and saying that, we're going to have this much money, and we're going to have algorithms to help sorting things, but we're also going to have people there looking at this stuff to make sure it's all working and all fair.
Yeah,
Again, that really, it depends on how serious they are about that. But
that's true.
so it remains to be seen.
Yeah, and Valve is already talking about because they know that $100 flat fee to get your game on Steam is going to increase the influx of games coming onto the service,
Mhm.
and they are talking about ways of making that manageable for us as gamers, so that when we go to Steam, we're going to be presented with games that we will actually likely buy or would be interested in. And they already talked about, in the same blog post, they talked about how they're going to be updating Steam curators, and these are people and organizations that put together a list of recommended Steam games that they review and everything, and they're looking at making that um, more useful for the curator and for the people who follow the
Mhm.
curators. One of the suggestions was being able to um, being able to connect directly to YouTube so that if you have a game in your curator list, you can link to your YouTube review and it will embed that review on your curator page.
Yeah.
So that's a cool feature.
Yeah, because as is being implied in the comments section right now, crap games are on the system all over the place, but really they're not a problem if you never see them. So if
Yeah.
a combination of sorting algorithms and search algorithms and all that good stuff manages to keep the crap away from you if you never see it, doesn't matter if it's there or not because you just never see it unless you really want to go looking for crap games to make fun of on YouTube because it brings in that sweet advertising dollars
Yeah.
and you can make enough money in a month to buy yourself some lunch. Uh, Also, Matthew seems a bit skeptical that Nintendo, my goodness, Valve is going to do much hands-on at all. And I'm a bit skeptical myself just based
Yeah.
on Valve's past. I mean, they may be saying they're going to add the human touch, but it's like, yeah, I'll believe that when I see it, guys.
Maybe when they say that, what they're what they're referring to is when somebody reports a game that they'll put that in a queue and send that out to the QA department or whoever, and it's just like, yeah, here's your list of things, take care of it at some point, and then they never follow through. I don't know. Valve is one of those companies that don't have the strongest customer service side of things, and it's and that to me would reflect poorly on whatever human element they would apply towards these game submissions.
Yeah.
So
So, all right, let's move on to our last topic of tonight. And we're going to be talking about the ethics of relabeling retro cards. It occurs to me that I probably should have grabbed a couple of my Atari games for visual aids, but all of my old games are like in really good condition because I've always put my games back in their box or back in their sleeves and the sleeves back in the box. If you look at well, I don't have any of my boxed games here. The actual cardboard box, like N64 and earlier, when they came in cardboard boxes and not plastic DVD cases. I always put the NES and the SNES games and and the N64 ones in those little plastic sheaths that they have, and I put them back in their plastic, and I'd slip them back in the box, and I'd close the box up. That's the case. So I was also the kind of guy who's like, "Hey, will you loan me my game?" No, no. Yeah, I know you're a great person, but I know you don't treat the games as well as I do. So no, you can come over and play, but I ain't loaning you my stuff. Um,
yeah.
so there was an article on Kotaku about some person on somewhere who did a video saying, here is how I restore old game cartridges, and here's how I make basically scrubbing for damaged labels and stuff. They just take the original label off the game, and then he'd apparently recreate it through art programs, recreate the label, print it out, and paste it on the cartridge, and voila, you have a new Pitfall cartridge for the Atari 2600 with a lovely, pristine new label on it. Yay. According to this Kotaku article, a lot of people have a serious damn problem with that. Um, which is weird. And basically, the problem boils down to that devalues the cart. And they use the analogy of coins. If you find a really old, scummy, dirty, gross coin, don't clean it because once you clean all the grime off of it, then it's only worth its face value. You lose your value when you clean it. So you don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay, but it's his cartridge. Now, if he was relabeling stuff to sell it as new, yeah, I
Or
guess
as like new
or something like that without telling anybody, I could understand people having an issue with that. But he made it very clear this is my collection of games. I just relabel my games so they look nice. And I'm like, okay, I don't have a problem with that. What are your thoughts on it, though, Zachary?
Well, as somebody that resells games, I, the the problem there is a problem with relabeling cartridges
Hmm.
because you don't want to buy a game and it has a brand new, a label that looks brand new, because you know, well, I guess you do want one, but it's
Hmm.
like if you have one, that kind of makes you think, this game is 25 years old and this label looks like it was fresh off the printer. Uh, is this game a genuine copy, or is it
Yeah.
a repro cart where they take a game like, you know uh, an old sports title that's a dime a dozen for the Super Nintendo and reflash the cart with Super Mario RPG and then put a Super Mario RPG label on it. Is that what happened? You
Hmm.
don't know, and
Yeah.
that's a problem for collectors, because collectors, they want the real thing, and really, as a seller, you don't want to sell somebody a repro cart. You don't want to even do it on accident. And so if
Yeah,
somebody's
that could be a problem
relabeling,
too.
yeah, that would be a big problem, because
Like
I'm
if
in
you
a
bought something that was relabeled and you didn't realize it and then sold it on to someone else,
yeah,
they
exactly.
and they found out, they'd be mad at you.
Yeah, exactly. And I follow groups that, or I'm part of a group on Facebook. They're the Oklahoma Retro Gamer Society, and they're really big into helping each other identify genuine cartridges. Like they have some of these guys have memorized the exact size and specs of the actual circuit board inside the cartridges,
Yeah.
and it's like some of the cartridges themselves have specific backs to them. Like if the cartridge doesn't have this specific back, then it's a repro cart, because it's like it's kind of crazy. And then other ones, there's other people in there too that they're like, well, if you need to replace the back, you can go and find this other game that has the exact same back and you can just replace it, and no harm no foul there. And it's just, crazy knowledgeable, these guys. But
Mm.
so when it comes to relabeling, I think, as a reseller, the genuine label is preferred. But if you're going to relabel something, say you've got like I had a copy of Breath of Fire 2 growing up that was actually mislabeled, and
Oh.
which was actually kind of cool. But it was the label was for um, Eye of the Beholder, and I had bought the game because I was
Wow.
just like, okay, Eye of the Beholder, it's an RPG, I'll try it out. And then I get home and I start playing it, and the title screen comes up and it's Breath of the Wild, um, um, Breath of Fire 2, and I'm like, what? And then that helped me discover a really awesome franchise. And then
It's a
years later,
good
I
game.
actually yeah, and then years later, I actually got to Eye of the Beholder, and I was like, yeah, I don't like this game as much. But yeah, it was the wrong label, and which I guess could add to the story of the game, um, but there, I have seen games where there is no label, or the label is almost completely ripped off, and
Yeah.
you might want to put a brand new label on there, because otherwise you can't read what game it is. And in that case, if you're going to make a label, a new label for it, you need to identify that it's a reprint label or something.
Yeah, if
Like,
if you ever sell it, just make absolutely sure that you make it clear that the label on this sucker is a
well,
reproduction.
my suggestion is, on the label itself that you're creating, put on that label that this is a reproduction label,
Oh,
like
right, right,
in
right.
a conspicuous spot that is part of the label, and so
Sure.
that people can immediately identify that as a relabel.
That sounds
Um,
fair.
Yeah, and to me, I think that is fair. And yeah, if you could do that, and then in a similar vein, you've also got um, you know CD and DVD games these days that you lose people lose the DVD cases, and so you've got just the disc
In a jewel
and
case, and you have no
in a
idea what
jewel
it
case.
is.
Yeah, and well, you got just the disc, and it's just like, okay, well, why don't I just print off a brand new label for, or a brand new DVD sleeve for this and put it in the case, and that way I can identify it. And I think of I think that would be something that's acceptable, and just as long as, again, it's either obviously a relay a reprint of the game art, but yeah, I think it's okay. It's just, yeah, you've got to put in those safeguards for resale, because yeah, a relabel is probably gonna get you less money than an official label.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah,
Well, I think the whoever was angry at this guy is overreacting a bit, but
yeah,
I mean, there's certainly an interesting conversation. I mean, really, the conversation should have been, "Hey, did you know that you're actually lessening the resale value of that? Oh, you don't care? It's just for personal use? Okay, cool." And
yeah.
that's it. That's really all it should have been.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all it should have been, but there are concerns, because what if
oh,
this
sure.
guy 10, 15 years from now, he hits a hard spot and needs to make some money, and so he sells his game collection on. Is he really going to be able to, identify every single game that he printed a label for, relabeled so that he could inform them? Is he going to do that?
Yeah.
That's another concern, and
I mean, if you documented it all of the reprints in the YouTube video, I guess you can go look back at it.
yeah,
But who knows how many games he's reprinted labels for? It could be all of
yeah,
them. We don't know. So I guess word to the wise: when you're out buying old games from people, just do what you can to make sure it's legit. Unless you seriously don't care, you're just trying to get a copy of an old game because you want to play it. But
yeah.
yeah. So that is our show, and we've kept it to an hour. Good on us.
Yay!
So yeah, yeah. To view reviews, got a my YouTube series where I'm reviewing the first episode of the new anime this season. Got a couple more episodes to go, so there should be like five more, something like that. Um, so hope you all enjoying those. Wednesdays was special because it was long, and I sing at the very end of it. So torture yourself with that if you'd like. Um, and yeah, I'll probably have an E3 predictions video. I've got some other stuff planned, except I've been busy at work and haven't had time to write much. Because normally I spend my lunch breaks, writing, but I've been
Yeah.
working through lunches all week, so it's kind of sucked. But anyway, if you want to look at my videos, just type my name, Andrew Eisen, Eisen, into YouTube, and you'll find my stuff. Follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. And that's about it. Zachary, plug away.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, where I talk about video games and politics and other things that are of interest. And you can follow my game development work at DK_gaming. It's divinenightgaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and OKGameDev.com.
All right. Well, that is it from us. Thank you all for watching. Hope you had a fun time, and we will see you again next week. Take care, y'all. Bye.
See ya.